All right, good evening, everybody. This is your Facebook meteorologist, Sean Bagden here, and we are live as a winter storm, high elevation winter storm is getting underway across Wyoming, Utah, Montana, and Colorado. I'll be watching the comments intermittently as we're going through the forecast and the main touching points we need to get across. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. As you can see right now, heavy snow now getting underway across Teton Pass here in western Wyoming. This has only been happening for a few minutes now, but it is continuing to get heavier and heavier as the band intensifies. We're going to show you why that's happening and what our forecast is for Teton Pass, as well as the notorious South Pass area. Also, I-80 we're going to be looking into as well. And we're really going to be doing this as long as we need to get all questions answered. So without further ado, we're going to head on over to our upper air maps right here, and we'll try to break this down as easy as possible. But as of right now, we do have an area of low pressure that is right here in southwestern Utah. This is going to tend to deepen, strengthen, and move off to the north and east here. Generally, in these sorts of situations where there's a deepening area of low pressure, you do tend to get a stronger band of precipitation, a heavier, more persistent band of precipitation that develops on the northwestern edge of the low. And that is expected here. This area of tighter lines, or streamlines as we call them in meteorology right here, is going to be that convergent boundary that's going to be creating that very small, narrow band of intense precipitation rates as we go through the overnight and into the morning hours. This band is expected to intensify as the storm intensifies and move off to the northeast with it, likely impacting the I-80 corridor, as well as into the Evanston Salt River Pass area, as well as South Pass City here in the attendant pass Lander area as we head on through the day tomorrow. Also going to be getting some fringe upslope effects up in the Tetons as models have been trending down in terms of totals to the north, as it looks like this is going to be a more consolidated band. The areas that are going to get hit are going to get hit harder than expected, but the areas outside of where this band is likely not getting hit nearly as bad as previously anticipated. So that would be Teton Pass, parts of Montana here near the Gallatin Range, Beartooth area. That area is starting to look like a low end bust for this storm. Also Togety Pass as well in northern Wyoming there is likely going to have a low end bust, looking around the range of 4 to 6 inches for those areas now, instead of the double digits that were anticipated before, when upslope banding looked a little bit more impressive on the models. That being said, going down to South Pass here across the Lander area as well, we are going to be looking for a significant winter storm to get underway. And we're also going to be talking about the I-80 area there near Summit Park, I believe it is. And we're going to actually go into our upper air temperatures right now. So generally what we look for in our upper air temperatures in this area at least is a -6 degrees Celsius line. So that's going to be this line right here, if you can see my mouse. And that is where your 6,000 foot snow level is, generally speaking. And once you get down to -8, you pretty much get snow down to the valleys in most areas, especially across Idaho, Wyoming, and northern Utah there, Colorado as well. So we're going to be closely watching that as this low pulls in cold air behind it. And these green areas show where you have plenty of saturation within the atmosphere to get a to get snowflakes to develop. So the only thing you need is forcing, and we have plenty of that with a deepening low pressure off to the south of Salt Lake City right now, trekking to the northeast. So let's head on over to the models right now, as I know that's what you guys want to have a look at. But first, I'm going to have a look at real-time conditions before we do that. So right now, you can clearly see this intensifying convergent band that we were just talking about on the upper air maps, looking like we're about to start getting heavier snowfall rates coming into the I-80 area as of right now. And this is likely to intensify through the night as this band slowly moves off to the north and east. Also going to be starting to see those heavier snowfall rates impact western Wyoming mountains as well. Teton Pass, Salt River Pass, and potentially up here near Targhee Pass, but not too optimistic about them getting too much snow out of this event, just given what I'm seeing, looking like dry air moves in up there. But very interested in this heavier band of precipitation moving through the Idaho Falls area right now. As this moves into the mountains of western Wyoming, it is anticipated that this heavier precipitation will bring that cold air down to the surface and into the valleys. And we could be looking at some pretty heavy snow, potentially even thunder snow, as you get into the Star Valley tonight. Especially in the Alpine area, you're going to be looking in the Driggs area for that, Victor area, potentially thunder snow and heavy snowfall rates developing over the next few hours here. Also even into the Salt River Pass and I-80 with this very convective nature to these bands that are approaching the mountains right now. So let's head on over into the models right now. Let me share my screen. There we go. And we're going to head over to the high resolution models now, as they're going to pick up the mountains a lot better. And as you can see, they are picking up on this heavier band kind of near the Idaho Falls area that we were watching on radar as of current, and also picking up on that band heading towards the I-80 Summit Park area, Park City area. And this is expected to continue to move to the north and east, as you see here. And again, this is that heavy snow that you're seeing up in the Tetons right now. This is likely to be brief. Now, once that low really focuses most of the vorticity and the dynamics around it, and in that convergent band off to the north and west of the low, we likely will be seeing a cutback in snowfall rates, especially to the north in areas such as Targhee Pass, the Star Valley area, and into Teton Pass. Salt River Pass into the I-80 area, Park City, and into Evanston, you're going to have to watch out, especially into the early morning and late morning. Early and late morning hours tomorrow, as you can clearly see a very heavy band of precipitation pushing through the area. That's that convergent band I was just talking about. And this will likely bring in some very heavy snowfall rates to the area, likely picking up a quick 4 to 6 inches in a lot of high elevation spots along I-80 here. And again, up by the Summit Park area, would not be surprised to see some chain laws put into effect as this heavy band starts to push through. Would not even be surprised to see the outside shot at a double-digit total, especially along I-80 near Summit Park there, Park City area. And as you head over to the lower elevations, even a little further past the 84 interchange up towards Evanston, definitely 4 to 6 inches still possible in that area, given this heavy banding feature. But as you go through time right here, you can clearly see that a little further up towards Rock Springs, it does look like heavy precipitation is going to be impacting I-80 as well. But this will likely be a little bit too warm in terms of surface temperatures to produce much in the way of accumulation on the roads as you start getting a little bit lower in elevation as you head towards Rock Springs there. But certainly I-80 from Evanston all the way through Summit Park and a little bit down the hill towards Salt Lake there, you definitely need to watch out for significant travel impacts as this banding feature looks to set up directly overhead of I-80 here. So definitely need to watch out for this. This looks like it's going to be happening in the morning hours, the early morning to the mid-morning hours here tomorrow, Friday, before this band ends up wrapping up and the low ends up kind of petering out and moving off to the east. But the next thing we need to talk about is upslope into the Wind River Range. This is going to be a huge talking point during this storm. The South Pass Highway right here, South Pass City Highway, is right here on the southern end of the Wind Rivers. And this is a very tough spot to forecast for as it is high in elevation. And models have a hard time picking up on the difference between the mountains right next to it and the actual pass itself. So it is kind of trial and error when you are forecasting for here. But it looks like significant impacts are going to be possible as it looks like on many model runs here. This one is a little bit lighter in terms of precipitation, but you're looking at about 0.7 inches of accumulated precipitation here. Which would bring you up near a foot of snow in these instances. What we're saying is about 15 to 18 inches of snow for South Pass City itself. And looking at winds, this is the very important part for South Pass City here. We're going to be seeing winds up near blizzard force here, if not exceeding blizzard force. We're seeing winds in excess of 40, 50 miles per hour here in the heavier bands as they're moving through the South Pass area. This is called the wind corridor for people not in meteorology watching this. It is the wind corridor because it is wide open. You get some funneling in between the passes there, and it really accelerates the winds through that area. So definitely something we need to closely watch. And we will likely see either high-end travel impacts across the South Pass City Pass area, or we'll see closures of that area. I think we're more likely to see a closure than chain laws or significant impacts from this, just because of how severe the conditions are across that area. Pretty surprised, actually, we don't have blizzard warnings in that area, just given what I'm seeing here on the models. But that's probably because it's expected to be a wetter snow, given that's a little earlier on, might have a harder time picking up those snowflakes and reducing visibility. But I definitely think there's a chance for that. And you need to be quite careful if you're traveling along the South Pass City Highway here, going from Lander into the Pinedale or Rock Springs area, even up to Jackson. You need to have a quick you need to be very aware of your conditions, very aware of the way the highway is and all of that. Just be cautious, look at the cameras before you travel, and make sure you have that emergency preparedness kit in your car before you travel out and head in those areas. So now we're going to talk about Teton Pass, as long as we don't have any questions here. No, we don't. We're going to go into Teton Pass right now, as I do know a lot of people watching are commuting over Teton Pass, going through the canyon, those sorts of areas. Models have started to trend down in terms of snowfall totals across Teton Pass and the valleys, such as Jackson Hole, Star Valley, up into the Teton Valley of Idaho. But let's go over to the models and have a quick look, because we do have a new run that just came out. And I am quite interested with the way the radar is also starting to set up. It does look like we could have a comeback of potentially higher snowfall totals, but it's been in and out, so it's better to hedge on the lighter side at this point. But as you can see on these models right here, it looks like we do have a pretty stationary band of upslope snow that is tending to develop up along the Teton Pass area in the northern Salt River Range. This will likely produce heavy snowfall overnight for Teton Pass, also into the Targhee ski resort here. Jackson Hole Mountain Resort will be looking at heavy snow, especially on the upper half of the mountain. And then down through the canyon, potentially we could see some snow overnight, likely not going to be sticking to the roads in the canyon, but definitely something to keep an eye on without the sun being around. But it does look like we do have quite a good chance at seeing travel impacts across the Teton Pass overnight tonight with snow-covered roads. At this point, it's a 50-50 if we get a chain law or traction laws up there overnight tonight, but likely once we get into the day tomorrow and the commute is over, we'll likely see a return to normal conditions, wet conditions on the roadways up on Teton Pass, as that high sun angle is going to start to melt away that snow on the blacktop surfaces here. So we're going to track this band. It looks like we do continue to get upslope snow through the Tetons here. What time's this? Okay, so through about sunrise, it looks like we're expecting snow across the Tetons. Best time for accumulations, of course, since we don't have that sun in place. But let's have a quick look here to see if we have any changes in the precipitation amounts that are expected along Teton Pass, which is right in this area. Does look like we did have a slight bump up in expected precipitation across Teton Pass, which I am not surprised with. But we're going to be keeping our snowfall totals the same, looking at a general half foot of snow to fall overnight tonight in Teton Pass, and potentially even an inch or two in the Jackson Hole area and down into the Star Valley overnight tonight, as we do get favorable flow in the lower levels of the atmosphere. That'll bring in potentially stationary bands of snow that will develop across Jackson Hole and the Tetons overnight. I guess we can't really get that right now. We'll see if we can't get that a little bit later on. But looking at the model depiction of snowfall totals during this event, you can see that it has started to increase snowfall amounts. It was showing a couple inches earlier, but as expected, it did trend a little bit higher here around the 6-inch range, 6-8-inch range here for the Tetons. Wouldn't even be surprised to see a 10-inch total in there if we do get some of those more persistent bands across the Tetons here. And again, valley snowfall is going to be pretty much contained to the grassy surfaces, not really concerned about snowfall accumulations on road top surfaces, just given how warm it's been recently. And we're likely not expecting temperatures to get get lower than the 30s overnight tonight. So warm surface temperatures will likely keep snowfall accumulations to grassy surfaces, especially in the canyon. Again, you get up into Teton Pass, that's a completely different story, especially overnight tonight. We'll be watching the cameras for you as we go through time here, and we will update you if anything significant changes. And again, South Pass here, models are having a little bit of a hard time picking up on that upslope flow, but generally we're looking at a consensus from the National Weather Service, ourselves, and from model wind directions and plots here at a pretty significant upslope event, especially across the South Pass area. So if you guys don't have any questions, that is about all we have for tonight. And that's just a quick overview of what we're looking at with this storm. And if you do have any questions afterwards, please feel free to leave them below in the description, and we will make sure to get back to you on that. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'd love to see some snowfall pictures from you if you're driving in Teton Pass, the Uinta Mountains, I-80. That would be amazing, and we will share them with credit. So have a great night and enjoy the snow. Stay safe out there.